Ideal Protein is a doctor-designed, coach-led ketogenic weight loss protocol that uses food as medicine to empower you to lose weight and live your healthiest life.
And welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show, Group Therapy. It's episode 14. We are welcoming back our long-lost brother, a man who disappeared for 2 weeks, a much-deserved vacation, and then last week, kind of trying to play catch-up, didn't have a whole lot going on, didn't have a whole lot to talk about, but I'm going to ask him to introduce himself first. He is on the viewer's right, so go ahead, sir.
I'm David Gray, lifestyle editor with the Livingston Parish News, and I missed this so much. Just wanted everyone to know that.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Was that a joke?
We're recording this a little early. Call it Three Grumpy Men. Was that the name of that movie? Grumpy Old Men?
Grumpy Old Men.
Grumpy Old Men.
And, like in my case, that applies. I don't know if that applies for y'all.
And on my left, go ahead.
Hey, this is Rob DeArmond. I'm the sports editor here at the Livingston Parish News.
And we have been blowing and going. Usually summertime is a slow time for us, and this summer has proved to not be. That's not the case. First and foremost, going to start off with Rob. You don't have to list them off, but just want to remind folks about those AllState teams that just keep flying off the press.
Yeah. Class B came out last week, and Taylor Douglas from Holden was the outstanding player for Class B. We talked about it last week. She was offensive MVP for all parish. It's just great in the circle, hit 27 home runs. Also had a couple others, Gracie Duffy and Olivia Barnes made the first team, as well as Casey Bright up on the honorable mention squad. And and Hunter Borderline made it on the baseball squad and honorable mention. 2A team came out, had some Doyle kids on there, Marley Olivier and Elise Jones on the first team on the softball team, and Madison DeVille was an honorable mention choice there for the guys. The honorable mentions were Braden Keene and Tyson Stewart, and your first team guys were Andrew Uritich and Cade Watts. So they well represented, and like Coach Beatty said, if you go far, you do things well, you get well represented on that All-State team, and that was the case in both of these. Holden, of course, in softball wins its state title, so they're well represented in both aspects there. So, and I believe the 5A team will come out on Thursday, and we're recording this on Wednesday, so that would be tomorrow.
Okay. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to come back to you for a little bit of coaching news, but first going to jump back over to Mr. David Gray, get his first report on the show in quite some time. Trader.
You remember how this works?
I think so. I think I just talk.
Yeah.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is Perks for Pricks. That is that's the headline we came up with for the front page. So give us some detail on what that exactly that means.
Yeah, so basically it is exactly what it sounds like, Perks for Pricks. The state is now offering these sort of incentives for people to get vaccinated against the coronavirus. The governor's he's talked about this for the last few weeks in press conferences. He's kind of been mentioning it, and that's something that's happened across other states. He recently in one of his press conferences he cited Ohio for they're doing $1 million lottery for people who get vaccinated, and after they announced that, I think their vaccinations jumped up by around like 25-30%. So it's something that that's kind of what the governor has alluded to, possibly doing a lottery. He has not said anything definitive about that, but there's been hints at something possibly like that to encourage more vaccinations. But last week he announced the official first perks, and that's right now. If people who get vaccinated have through July 31st, they can visit any of Louisiana's 21 state parks or 18 historic sites free of charge. And there's also certain restaurants and bars that are participating in a shot-for-shot package, which is basically if you get a vaccine, you have through the end of June to get a free drink, alcoholic or non-alcoholic, at a participating restaurant. And usually those restaurants will have they'll have something on their front entrance saying that we are participating in the shot-for-shot package. It's just a way to encourage more vaccinations because if you look at the numbers, Louisiana is still lagging in terms of vaccines compared to the rest of the country as a whole. I mean, we're right around a third people, or I think it was 32% last week of people who are fully vaccinated, and that national average is in the 40s. So I mean, we are we're lagging in that sense, but so the governor's just hoping that something like this will be able to spur more vaccinations. And he also said, you know, stay tuned for more incentives in the future. So there's going to be more perks for pricks that are going to be offered, you know, over the coming weeks, especially as we get closer to the start of the school year, you know, start of football season. We know football season last year was very modified, and you know, you don't want to have people to fill Tiger Stadium and the Superdome. You know, when football season comes, it's a big, you know, economic engine for Louisiana. So there's going to be more of these packages being offered in the coming weeks.
And don't forget the Saints either. It's a
I
big
said the
deal.
Dome. I said the Dome.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
He's not listening.
So
It's
well,
early, man.
You on vacation?
no, actually, I had a series in my mind, and then you brought that up, and I was like, well, because we were going to talk about the session real quick because we were talking about Governor John Bel Edwards, but you brought up LSU, so I wanted to switch gears a little bit, go back to Rob, because we have two former LSU guys who one of whom is local. I don't believe Jared's local. But he's local now.
Kate said he and Jared are actually neighbors. So.
Oh well, okay.
Yeah, so
I forget where Jared's from though, but he's not from Livingston.
Right,
Parish.
right. So well, he is now.
Yeah, he is here now.
So French Settlement picked up a pretty splashy co-hire for their baseball team. So tell us a little bit about that.
This happened the same day we came at you last week with the Mark Carroll news. He wouldn't be returning as Denham Springs baseball coach, and later that day, Prince Settlement hired Cade Savick and Jared Poche as their coaches. Cade's going to be the head coach, and Jared's coming in to be his pitching coach. And if you guys follow college baseball, you know they were teammates together at LSU, battery mates, pretty successful in their own right. I just kind of asked Jared. I was like, okay, Jared, where do you rank on the all-time wins list? He's like, I'm first. I said, okay, that's what I thought. How many? 39. He said, Maneri said if I could have got one more, we'd have a World Series championship. So, you know. So, but
what a way to put it.
I mean, but you laugh about it. You know, it's one of those things we kind of joke about. But this is one of those deals where, you know, I told Kate the last time I talked to him, he's playing minor league ball. You know, and I wanted to get in touch with him over the last summer, just to see. His minor league baseball got shut down, so I just wanted to touch base and say, hey man, what are you doing? How's it going? And we just couldn't connect. So you know, this was my first time talking to him since probably 2 summers ago, and he's got a youngster, 8-month-old, so it kind of changes things. And
oh sure,
he said you know, he had some offers there, and every time he would get an offer to play minor league ball, he's got to think about the family now, because he's like, you don't want to go away for 8 months when you got an 8-month-old coming. You're going to miss everything. So he said this would give him an opportunity to kind of, he's still at home, give an opportunity to still be involved with baseball, and of course, you know, to kind of pass on that knowledge. And kind of what he wants to do is, you know, he's like, man, we're all about developing guys and seeing what they can do, and we're going to stick with you know, the basic stuff, you know, fielding grounders, throwing the ball, making sure we can do basic stuff. And you know, you bring Jared in, and you know, he's going to have the knowledge, of course, of the pitching part of it. And he said he kind of wanted to pattern himself after Alan Dunn, who's LSU's current pitching coach, which he said was one of the best coaches he had played for, you know, in terms of that's how he's kind of patterned his philosophy. They are coaching together a 13U team, so, and Jared's the head coach there, so they kind of they kind of reverse the roles. So, you know, he's and I, you know, I asked both of them about, you know, are you guys worried about not having any high school coaching experience? And Cade said he's reached out to every, you know, people that he knows on every level of baseball, and he said at the end of the day, it's baseball, you know, and you just go out there and you kind of do it.
Sure. So, you know, you and I discussed last week that Mark Carroll would not be returning to Denham. They've hired. Have we gotten any clarity on whether or not that's an interim or?
No, I haven't. And as far as I know, I really haven't followed up on it much. But as far as Coach Hopkins, Trey Hopkins is in charge of the program at present.
Okay. And of course, right after that, I mean, probably what, 2 hours after you and I wrapped up.
It was about 2. I think I maybe texted John Tuning, the principal at French Settlement, and he said I'm meeting with Caden Jarrett right now, and I will call you when I'm done. And he did, and he said he's like, I'm gonna post this on social media, and as he posts, I'm doing interviews. I think that's when you texted me. So we're going through it, and it was he said, I think John texted me back. He goes, "Man, this is crazy."
Yeah,
because it took off like wildfire on Wednesday whenever the hiring was announced.
Oh yeah, it was a big deal.
Trivia: what was Cade's nickname in high school?
I know at LSU they called him the Marpaw Masher.
Okay, there you go. Good job.
Yeah,
yeah. I wrote a story on him in college.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, covered him and Jared.
I didn't know that. And you were there.
Yeah,
I didn't think. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I did one on him after he graduated when he was going into the minor leagues. I went down to that party that he had in Marpaw.
I remember that. Yeah.
Man, that was a long time ago.
Anyway,
moving forward,
we're all getting old. Them, us, like, good Lord.
Yeah. Moving on. Going back over, we had brought it up, and yeah, Mr. Dome. I'm trying to switch gears there, but talking about the legislative session, I know that you did a couple of wraps for the bills that the governor has signed. You can find those lists on our website. If you do, are you more interested in the language of those bills? You can find them at legis. That's legis.la.gov. Just put in, if you're reading through the list and you find one of those, either a resolution or a bill, you can plug that in. It'll take you right to the language of the bill, and we will be following up. Of course, the legislative session is supposed to end 6 p.m. This Thursday, and it is expected to. No special session is expected at this time, so they'll be signing off 6 p.m. Thursday evening. We'll be following up with our legislators to see how their bills fared this year. Moving on, we had a bit of, what's the best way to put it? Wild week for the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office. It has been a wild week. I'm one of them was kind of I do believe this was the one that sort of kicked it all off. Just a very strange story about a short chase, and then the person just decided that he wasn't going to jail. So tell us a little bit about what happened there.
Yeah, that was Saturday morning, Needham Springs. Basically, yeah, it's exactly what you just said. A man from Hammond must have decided that he was not going to jail. And during a police check, the deputies were responding to an armed suspect, a disturbance call. And when they got there, witnesses identified the suspect and the vehicle. That suspect fled in that vehicle, led to a short pursuit. And at some point, there was a deputy that had parked his police unit, and at some point the suspect turned around and drove head on into the deputy's unit. The suspect passed away. The deputy was sent to the hospital. He had non-life-threatening injuries. They said he was expected to be fine. But yeah, that kind of kicked off a really crazy weekend for the sheriff's office. There was another incident over the weekend where there was reports of shots fired at Movie Tavern and Jupin Crossing Shopping Center. Those, as of this time, I haven't heard anything about those being verified reports from detectives. There were witnesses who said there was a drive-by shooting. Deputies canvassed the whole area. They never found any bullet casings, any damage from bullets, anything like that. There was just the witness testimony that happened. So I mean, they're still waiting to hear back on that. So it was just a really crazy weekend for the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
a lot of, there was one more I cannot remember, but there was another an argument that an argument between two Denham Springs gentlemen that ended up with one shooting another one. So yeah, it was just a really busy weekend for them.
Yeah.
Not the busy that you want though either.
No, an unfortunate busy, a very unfortunate busy. But skipping over this past weekend and going to the weekend before, which was Memorial Day weekend, that was your feature.
Yes.
For this week. Tell us a little bit about what went on in the parish. celebrate Memorial Day.
Yeah, that was the Veterans Foreign Wars Post 7017. That's the local VFW post in Denham Springs. They've hosted this Memorial Day service for, dozens of years, and for the last 12, it's been behind Seal Funeral Home on range. It's been behind it at the Evergreen Memorial Park, and this was a big deal for them because they weren't able to have it last year because of COVID. So this was the first year, especially, a lot of these are older people who participate in this ceremony, so they were the most at risk population. So for obvious reasons, last year they decided to cancel it, and this year they will bring it back, and it was pretty much a normal ceremony. So it was good to see that. I talked to one family who a grandmother and her grandson who were at the graveside of the grandmother's deceased husband, who served in the Air Force, served during the Korean War, and it was just it was the grandson's first chance to actually go to he's about 14 years old now, and it was his first chance to go to a Memorial Day ceremony, he said, and actually understand what it meant. So that was a really cool little anecdote to add in the story. And then you had Parish President Ricks and Mayor Joe Landry. They were two of the guest speakers there, and it was just the VFW members, they were just happy to be able to have their ceremony. It's something that they take a lot of pride in every year. They get to the site early, they plant American flags, they get the poppy seeds, they hand them the poppy flowers out to, not poppy seeds, Lord.
Had a hamburger for Memorial Day?
Yeah. They hand the poppy flowers, they pin them on guest shirts, just that symbolic flower, and they had this, something that they would take a lot of pride in. So I was glad to be there again. And it's it's a ceremony, especially in Livingston Parish. They really care about veterans and the military, and especially on Memorial Day when you're like Rick said, paying homage to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. So it was good, and it meant getting a little bit more back to normal too. So that was really a big deal last week.
So yeah, an event that kind of pulled a lot of things together that people were looking for. Memorial Day seemed to be a happy time for a lot of people. A lot of folks get back to a normal sort of celebratory weekend, but also a weekend of remembrance, especially on that Monday. So, thank you, sir, for going to that. As we wrap up, want to check in with you guys. I know Wednesdays on the summer are busy. So what are some of the things that y'all are going to be running into? 7-on-7 is today.
Yeah, actually.
So start there.
Yeah, actually, I think today, after we get through with the staff meeting, that's where we're headed, to 7-on-7. And I think David's actually going to go get some photos. Denham Springs has got a basketball camp going on as well. He's going to stop by there. But yeah, Wednesdays from here till the end of June are going to be 7-on-7s.
Gotcha.
So, and they'll be at each of the 5E schools. So I'm gonna dip in at each one every week, and somebody's gonna get covered twice. I don't know who yet. So
and just remember, Rob is gonna make it out there. So if you don't see him one week, he may be there the next. But like you said, somebody's gonna get it twice.
That's how it's gonna work. So.
You would think for maybe the last week they'd all just come together at one field.
And when when I first started that, every you'd have a couple of them where you'd have multiple teams there, so we could do kind of if you want to call it one-stop shop and everybody be there, but everybody's kind of spread out now. Right. I guess that they can get more teams in there that way. I guess so. We'll be there eventually.
And David will be taking photos.
Yes,
there we go.
Yes.
So, gentlemen, appreciate you taking the time this morning. We got it done early, got through it. So let's go ahead.
I don't know if you can tell, but yeah, it's a little bit early.
A little early today. So, Mr. Rob, why don't you go ahead and begin our introductions?
Hey, this is Rob DeArmond. I'm the sports editor here at the Livingston Parish News.
I'm David Gray, lifestyle editor with the Livingston Parish News.
And my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us today. Glad to have David back. And we appreciate those of you out there who are either listening or watching. Thanks for taking the time. Want to remind folks that we are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays at $7 a month to get that in your mailbox. We're also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. We do hope you have a great day. It is starting to get pretty warm out there.
Indeed.
So be prepared for that, and we will see you guys next time.